Hi, I'm Adam Yeager. I'm doing this for my English 273 class, and the book I decided to present you with is Daytripper. This book, I love so much reading it digitally that I bought this physically. It is really good. Before I begin, I will say sorry if I mispronounce any names in this, because they are from Brazil, and I do apologize in advance. And you'll also want to have coffee while you're going along with me, or maybe not, because every time I was reading this book, and if you read it too, you'll understand, all I wanted was coffee. So I figured this will set the mood, and so let's get into it. I first want to start out by saying I really enjoyed the drawings in this. Not only do they have incredible writing, but the drawings on every page is amazing. So while I'm presenting, I'm going to be sharing the screen with a page from the book. This is the very first page that you see when you open the book, and it does not disappoint, as every page gets better and better as you get to the end. So let's jump in with the authors. The authors are Fabio Moon and Gabriel Ba. They are, in fact, twin brothers, born in Brazil, and they started making their own self-publishing works of comics in Brazil, and then once they moved to America, they ended up working at the company of the Dark Horse Comics. They've made many, many comic books that a lot of people may have known or may have heard of, such like Casanova, The Umbrella Academy, Hellboy, Dr. Horrible, and that is just naming a few. They are the writers and illustrators for this incredible book. Daytripper is a story about an obituary writer who goes through a series of important parts of his life at different ages as if they were his last. And he gives an obituary to each age that he was at in his life. As a writer, I really love the synopsis. It sounds very confusing, but if you read it, you will understand exactly what I'm talking about. And I always find stories about writers to be fascinating because their mind works so differently. Obviously, they're creating stories all the time to not only write about a writer, but to write about a writer writing about his life. And looking at it through his lens is incredible. And it just fascinated me, and that's why I picked this piece. I think what resonates with this book and the connection between this book and human life and the question we face of human life is this book is our life. I, while reading this, really had deep conversations with myself because it focuses on the importance of certain parts of our lives that we don't really think about. It talks about growing up and growing older and becoming our parents and our parents becoming our grandparents and then we eventually become the grandparents and the circle of life and the thought processes we all face, whether it is a dead-end job that we are faced with, a life that we thought would go differently for us, a risk of quitting our jobs and the consequences of those risks that we think about all the time. It is exactly what we all go through. And not going to lie, I got very emotional while reading this. And all the way through, I just wondered how they were going to top it off. The writing in this is incredible, along with the drawings. Obviously, I'm showing you one of them. But the drawings themselves, every page, not only is it beautifully drawn, but it has depth. And it fits with the story that they are trying to create. It has even the shadows in the sand or the shadows in the walls and the details they put into this is as deep as the writing itself on every page. And it really makes you question a lot about life. And again, it brings up that fact, which is why I brought in coffee. The things we ignore that we don't really normally enjoy in life, we miss. Like enjoying the sip of coffee, enjoying sitting with our dog. The things that should be enjoyable and to remember as peaceful and unforgettable becomes forgotten because we are so focused on the life we should be having, and so focused on the future that we should have, that we don't really sit back and look at what is present. We always focus on the past, and we always focus on the future, but we don't actually look in the present day, because we're always looking at both ends of our lives instead of what's happening. And I think that was the important thing about this book, was he's constantly always drinking coffee, I think to show that this is a very enjoyable, peaceful moment that he's not really enjoying. And he's still constantly thinking about. And so I think the artistry to every page was visually stunning. And it's as deep as the conversation that you're having of what, like, you can't have life without death. And how can you accept death? And we all face that. And that's what this book really brings into place, is to not only talk about life, but talk about death. And every one of us, I'm one of those people too, that we get anxiety thinking about what happens after. And we don't look forward, obviously, to getting old, because we don't want to think of that. And we get anxious thinking about that. And this book kind of gives you an advice you don't have to listen to, but an advice that, when I think about it, it actually is calming. And that's why I really like this book. Was it actually points out the things in your life that you didn't really think about, and you're able to enjoy it a little bit better. And that's what I really liked about this. I really enjoyed the writings in this. As I said, I got emotional in this. I had never thought a comic book would make me emotional, but it did. There are such great lines in this. One of my greatest lines that I read during all of this, because I write a lot, is a line that you don't really think about. It goes, "There are a lot of things in this life that are difficult to understand, and even greater is the challenge of putting them into words." And that's a line from the actual book. There's so many other great lines in this, and you just don't really think about it. And then the other thing that I really, really liked about this book that was brought into this was, I never think about people that are obituary writers themselves, and the magic that they are able to bring to someone's life of closure, as well as to some people that just don't read the obituaries. You don't really think about the obituaries because we're not obviously looking at them every day, but writers of the obituaries are very important for some people. Some people need the closure of reading those nice little things about that one person. Whoever they were, they need that closure, and that's what obituary writers do. And then also, they also are very unimportant in a way, because some people read those and they feel nothing towards it, and they don't care about that, and some of them still won't even read it, even if someone dies. And so it was mind-boggling to actually read about an actual obituary writer, even though it's not like a true story, but it was very fascinating to actually get into. And so I really enjoyed the writing of this, and the knowledge that it brings, the awareness that it brings, and a peace of mind about life, and that you're not alone on thinking the way that you do. And so that's why I really enjoyed this book, and I really recommend this to anybody that wants to read this. I will say, fair warning, if you are going to read this, if you are a smoker or a coffee lover, I would definitely have those ready for you, because that's what they do the whole time. And it is definitely worth something to read if you're interested in reading it. And that is my presentation on Daytripper. If you are interested in reading this, I recommend this highly. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.